whatever pops up. Oh, whatever pops up, and it's like, okay, if this seems like it's good, I'll ride with it. I'll rock with it, right? However, in the kingdom, you don't do that, right? The idea is that you you take your desires for a relationship, for marriage, etc. You take it to the Lord, and then the Lord begins to speak to you. He'll speak back to you about that, and then you can make an informed decision about, if you're a man, how you pursue a lady, and if you're a woman, how you, people say, position yourself to be pursued, right? Um, so it's not like you're a serial dater. You know what I mean? It's not like we don't do things like the world. And so because we don't do things like the world, it gets kind of sticky when we sort of use the same terminology, even though we don't do things the same. So dating is, in the kingdom, I see it as you're dating, you're being pursued intentionally by one person, or you're pursuing someone intentionally, getting to know them. Like, hey, like, I think that we could be great intentional friends. Like, let's see where this goes. Let's also keep this in prayer. Like, we're not going blind. We're not going without guidance or counsel, right? But let's get to know each other. Like, I think we put a lot of pressure on, oh, this man or this woman, like, I think they're the one, right? Like, from the jump, or I think that we could potentially become something. But I see it as like, no, like, just say, okay, like, let's intentionally be friends. And then by the leading of the Lord, as he reveals more to us, we can now move this to the next level, which then becomes courting, I believe is the term, like courtship. Um, and again, the world doesn't use the word courtship. They use dating, and then you've been dating for so long, you get engaged, and then marriage. But courtship is like, okay, we're intentionally coming together to form a relationship that we believe the end goal is marriage, right? So that's just the way I see it. I feel like you just have to be careful to define what dating is, like what you're saying it is, what you're calling it, because it's not the same as the world. How they do things. It's very like, yeah, like I was saying earlier, you're a serial dater. Like, you could be talking to multiple people, you could be leading multiple people on situationships, all those different things. So yeah, I think, like, I kind of have the same question too, but those are sort of my thoughts.
Okay.
Yeah, you do things with intention. That's the difference.
Okay, so you're saying that dating doesn't really exist in that sort of way that the world defines it. It's more friendship to courtship. Is that, if I'm
Right.
getting it correctly?
Yeah, basically, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any other views?
I mean, I don't have a view, but I definitely like that definition. That definitely sounds way more, makes more sense than the way the world perceives that. That made a lot of sense actually.
So I'm really excited about this topic. Funny enough, I had something on my mind I wanted to share with everybody. By the way, Sister Tolu, sorry that I'm jumping in. I don't know if to say, unfortunately, I am babysitting because the ladies are supposed to be back by now. They've gone to the salon. I don't know what women do in that salon that takes so long. I summarily spend about 20 minutes to cut my hair, maybe less sometimes. But so I'm stuck with a little boy. I got him distracted now. Maybe that would last for about 5-10 minutes. So if you see me quickly jumping off, that's going to be why. But I wanted us to have a conversation, and I'm glad that something around that line has been brought up. Do you guys believe that God will bring your man to you or your woman to you?
At this point, yes.
I would say no.
I say no as well.
Okay.
Hey, no.
Yeah.
So let's start with Alex. When you say God will bring your man to you, what How do you understand that?
Um,
Your woman to you.
yeah, I was gonna say, well, because I feel like when I try to, stick my neck out and I try to do things my way, it always leads to some kind of pain or just something that's just unnecessary. So I feel like I'm just in a season of my life where God is just like, let me take control of, like, certain area, well, every area of my life, especially in that department, because, like, yeah, I try not to compromise and, in areas like that when it comes to dating. Like I really keep myself, guard my heart, because of my past and stuff like that. So I feel like the only way to truly find that person is if, God leads me to that person. That's how I see it.
That's good. And I hear you when you say you don't want to be dabbling in your own wisdom. If I hear you correctly, I hear that. Chelsea, you said no. So you're going to go get a man yourself. You're not going to wait for God to bring someone to you. Tell us about that.
I mean, it wasn't like, because when you said bring it, I was really thinking like as in bring it. I think reveal, yes, but not like as in bring him to me, if that makes sense. I don't know. I was thinking very literally. But yeah.
Okay, so who else said no? Who wants to maybe elaborate?
I did.
Go ahead.
The Bible says a man who finds a wife finds a good thing. So I strongly believe it's not an act of sitting on your butt. Your life. Yes, you are supposed to seek God's wisdom and really find godly counsel with your elders and whoever your mentor is about the person. And even speaking with your parents, but I don't think it is, I'm going to wait and my person is going to show up. And I wanted to say something earlier about the dating question, but I was still on the target. Yeah, I think the term dating has been perverted a little bit, but dating is just like getting to know a person. So in the body of Christ, we all technically date. When you kind of like a person, you try to get to know them. That is technically dating. And then courtship is like the act of pursuing that person. So yeah, that's just my 2 cents.
Thank you. I do have a teaching, 7 steps to the married bed. I don't know, Sister Tolu, if you keep a catalog of these things, but if you do, maybe now or later, if you can find where we did that teaching, 7 steps to the married bed, I kind of went step by step, how you go from stranger to consummating a relationship after marriage. And I talked about the different stages the relationship should flow through, what to do at each stage, how to know what stage you're at, how to move from one stage to the other, what not to do at different stages. I'm not going to get into that today because I really want to address one single issue. I think it is one of the, if not the most pervasive reason a lot of Christian singles are not getting married right now. And it is the idea that God will bring your man. In a sense, you hope and trust God to bring your man. But in a sense, when that is not properly understood, it's the reason a lot of singles, lots and lots of Christian singles are getting older and older and not getting married. The number one reason why Christian singles are not getting married is that they're not doing the inner work. We're not going to talk about that today. Last week in church, and I kind of went through it again this morning. There are 5 things that you should be growing in every single day of your life. You should be growing in your relationship with God. That leads to you growing in your relationship with yourself. You become a better person. You're becoming a lot more loving, wiser, gentler, more tolerant, joyful, radiating joy from the inside. If your relationship with God is growing, I'm not talking about religiosity and showing up in church. I'm talking about having an intimate relationship with Jesus Christ. If that is growing, you are also growing on the inside. And when you grow on the inside, the next thing that happens is that your relationships begin to grow, both in quality and in depth. That's the number one reason a lot of Christian singles are not getting married, because that is not happening. Many people are stuck in some stage of arrested development as far as their personal growth is concerned. And but I don't want to get into that today. What I want to get into today is this. When you trust God for a job, or when you trust God for money, you believe God to bring money or to bring you a job. The way the life works is that you get on LinkedIn, you get on ZipRecruiter, you get on some job board, and you begin to search for job. And you begin to throw out applications, and you begin to prepare yourself for interviews. And you go to as many interviews as you're called to, and you're trying to use the experiences from one interview and get better for the next one, and on until you get the job that God is supposed to bring to you. We understand that. But when people say God is going to bring my husband, God is going to bring my wife, they don't know that it works exactly the same way. This is the key point. And I don't want you to answer, but for all of you who are single, and I don't mean to pick on the ladies, but there's a reason I want to say what I'm about to say. Especially the ladies, ask yourself, how many meaningful encounters, or let me use the word interactions, how many meaningful interactions have you had with a man in the last 1 month? Answer that to yourself. How many meaningful interactions have you had with a man that you didn't know before, not someone in your family, your inner circle? How many meaningful interactions have you had with a man in the last 1 month? I know matured women who are believing God to bring a man to them who have not had one meaningful interaction with a man outside their close circle in 2 years. And they are waiting for God to bring a man to them. And the truth is that they might wait for the next 10 years because life does not work like that. Life does not work like that. Being human. Again, let me leave the married thing, go to something that might also help us understand it. You have something to sell. You don't keep it in your house. You put it on social media. You engage with possible buyers. You go to networking events to meet with people, and you are not always selling. In fact, to really sell, you should not sell, but you're meaning to have meaningful engagements with other human beings that may or may not develop into a selling situation. And believe me, I don't care whether you see God face to face and you and him grew up together in the same house. You need to have interactions with human beings to get married. Alpha, I'll come to your question. Just hold it there. Let me finish with the thoughts. You need to be having quality interactions with people. I'll give you an example. You all go to churches. When I come to GGMI or you go to Light City and you're a single man, you're a single woman. At the end of every service, you huddle with your sisters, the guys, or with your brothers, the people you've known for 2 years that you're comfortable with. You have your chit chat, and you get into your car, boom, you're going home. You're waiting for God to bring your husband, to bring your wife. You go to maybe a networking event or a singles event. I literally have to beg people to get up and talk to someone else. You go to a single event, you go to a business event, and you're sitting down and you're uninterested in everybody around you, uninterested in anyone around you, and you're waiting for God to bring your husband or your wife. The key to getting married quickly, or rather one of the keys, because there are several, is getting your numbers up. You might think it's carnal, you might think it's aggressive, you might think you're too much or too good to do that, but the key is getting your numbers up in terms of having meaningful interactions. Now, I keep using the word meaningful interaction because I'm not asking you to go sleeping with people. I'm not even asking you to go ask people out. I'm not asking you to eat on someone. I'm not even asking you to flirt. I'm saying you come to a place where there are other human beings, men and women, and you don't try to get into any kind of meaningful conversation. And what do I mean by meaningful conversation? Enough conversation that who you are is seen. I'm not hitting on anyone now, but I have to always help you guys. Look at how Hannah introduced herself today. Immediately, it pulled me into a conversation with her. Immediately. As a young person, I was struggling between studying business or studying psychology. I didn't think I could make money in psychology, but I've always wanted to understand people, help people grow. And if you even see the way I teach, the way I preach, I bring in a lot of psychological ideas. Immediately, she started talking about herself, showing herself. And I'm sure she's not even on camera, so I don't even know what she looks like. And I'm sure she didn't come here to get someone to like her or anything. But immediately she revealed and she engaged. I was pulled into a conversation with her. And I'm not hitting on anyone, please. Don't get me wrong. Someone else will introduce herself and do it so quickly, like it's a challenge to even talk about who you are and what you do and where you're coming from and where you're going. You're really not interested in having any kind of people to get to know you, and you rush through it, and you wonder why nobody is engaged with you. That's what I mean by meaningful interactions. Interactions that are long enough, deep enough, full enough, that allows someone to get a peep into who you are. Now, the key to the reason why that's important is that it is only such interactions that stay with people that will probably, so if I was single now, just an example, I've been married, my kids are married, but let's say I'm looking for someone to be friends with. After my interaction with Anna today, I probably might want to talk about psychology some more. And of everybody here, or let's assume that this is the first time we're all meeting. Who do you think I'm going to call to want to talk to again? It's Anna, because I have found something that we can engage with. And maybe after 2, 3, 4, 5 of those kind of conversations, probably on the phone, I'm like, okay, and you want to hang out? Just, I'm going, can we? And after maybe 1 or 2 of such, I'm like, oh, I really like this woman. I'm saying to you guys, there are single people who have not had one meaningful interaction with any human being in 2 years. And they want to be married. Take a lot if it ever happens. Because, like I said, you're in church, talk to your friends alone. Because you've looked around like nobody here is my type, which is another problem. Why a lot of singles remain single for a long time. If you try not to be too harsh, because I don't want to be misunderstood, but the idea of looking for your type is one of the reasons a lot of singles are not married today. Because what you think is your type is a social construct of what you think a good man is supposed to look like. It might not be, it might be real, it might not be real, it might be good, it might not be good, which is why that inner journey is so vital. So vital. So vital. If my wife, for example, was looking for her type when we met, she would not have met this incredible man that she's married to today. But the day we met, we had a meaningful interaction. An interaction that she wanted to have more of. Me too. If I was looking for my type, she was not my type. Not at all. Halle Berry-ish kind of women, those are my type. I've had a crush on Halle Berry for 30 years. Even though she's old, I'm still crushing on her. But we had a meaningful interaction. And with that interaction, I wanted more of those interactions. Eventually, we started dating. Eventually, we got married. Some of the problems Christian singles have, and I don't know who started the conversation, is founded on worldly ideas. Things we see in movie. You know, you see someone in the crowd and your heart starts to skip a beat and your head is swimming and it looks like what you've ever wanted. Ask 10 out of, ask 10 people who are married, 100 people who are married. And I can tell you, I've not done a study. Maybe Anna will go and do a study. But if you do a study of that, maybe you will find 5 that kind of thing happened to. The majority of relationships develop. The majority of relationships develop with people just having meaningful interactions. Sometimes with people they did not fancy, not because something was wrong with the person. Sometimes you're not even thinking about dating. You're not thinking about marriage. You don't go out every day just thinking, I'm looking for someone to marry, I'm looking for someone to marry, I'm looking for someone to marry. That's not how you live your life. But you should go out every day open to and intentional about having meaningful interactions with people. And if you're single, you need to be even much more deliberate about that. And again, remember what I said. I'm not asking you to go sleeping around with people. I'm not asking you to go asking everybody you see out. I'm not asking you to go and eat on people. No. I'm saying you're on a plane going somewhere. Someone is sitting beside you. It's not whether he's married or not, it's not even important. Instead of burying your head in your phone and burying yourself in a book, that's a human being. Talk to them. Have a meaningful interaction. Let them see you. See them. You go to an event, you go to church. Instead of just huddling with the people you know all the time, every single time, look into the congregation. Connect with people, have meaningful interaction, conversations. It might be them, it might be someone they know. They may not be available. It might be someone in their world. You know, I met a lady today in church. She I mean, we were just talking, you know. I mean, his girlfriend, my girlfriend might even say, oh, even my girlfriend was with me and we were just talking. And I just like the way she, and maybe he's talking to her. I say, oh, all right. I mean, I like that. Can we? Listen, the more meaningful interactions you have with other human beings, the faster God can bring your spouse. I wish I can teach this to it's not a very complicated thing. It's not a deep revelation. It's actually something we all understand when it comes to most of other areas of life. We understand that this is the way life works. But somehow, because of maybe the way some of us have been taught and some of the theology we've received, we get stumped when it comes to this issue of getting married. I don't want this to be a long teaching, but I want to give you guys a challenge, especially if you're single. I'm not asking anyone to get desperate. I'm not asking anyone to go asking everybody out, but make it an intentional goal for yourself to have 3 meaningful interactions with people you don't know every week. Make it a goal and tell me in 6 months if you don't get at least 1 or 2 people who wants to have a deeper conversation with you or wants to go out with you, hang out with you, get to know you more. Because I know sisters who've told me, nobody has asked me out in 5 years. I'm like, how is that possible? You're not, and again, I hate to say this kind of thing, but there's nothing wrong with you physically. Why will you have no one ask you out in 5 years? Because before you want to have any meaningful interaction with someone, you first want to qualify if you're someone you can marry. And you won't engage unless they tick certain boxes. Which brings me back to where I started. That inner journey is what keeps most of us from having those kind of meaningful conversations, interactions. It's either pride, it's either fear of rejection, it's either a lack of confidence, it's either baggages from our past, it's either some phantom idea of what we think a good man or a good woman is supposed to be like. It's either wrong motives, but there are so many reasons why we hold back from letting ourselves be seen and trying to have meaningful interaction with people. Sometimes it's a bad body image. I remember when I first became a Christian, I didn't have one single meaningful interaction with any woman for 6 years. I wasn't bad. I knew a couple of sisters fancied me in church, I mean, couple even try to, just platonic friendships. I wasn't interested in anything. And the only thing that was making me run away was because I was afraid of my loss. I was a very lustful person. And I was very serious with my Christian faith. And I just didn't think I could handle any relationship with a woman. So I kind of just stayed away. And I think it was a good decision for that time. The point I'm making is this. If you're not regularly engaging with people, and in this day and time where there are so many opportunities to meet people, even online, you come to this kind of meeting, for example, you can be coming for 6 months, and you don't try to engage with anyone here just because they don't fit your type, or they have not come to ask you out. Make a decision, ladies and gentlemen. 3 meaningful interactions with people you don't know. Start it, whether man or woman. You're not asking anybody out. What do you do? Interact with someone. Show interest in who they are as a human being. And then open yourself to them. Let them look through the pages of your humanity also. And that doesn't mean you should go tell everybody your business that you meet the first time. But have enough courage, have enough sense of security about who you are to be able to talk about yourself with someone and open up let them get to know you. And come back and tell me in 6 months if you don't have at least 2 or 3 men or women who want to get to know you better. Which leads me to the conversation we're having. Originally or traditionally, what it means to have a date is to have an appointment that is social. So you can invite your mom on a date. I regularly take my girls out on dates. And that is absolutely okay. But of course, the world now sees dating as a man and a woman going out and then having sex, which of course is sinful, which leads to a lot of broken hearts, and which has led to a messed up world. So I don't care what nomenclature you want to call it, how you want to name the event, but you should be regularly meeting people and having conversations as human beings. That's what leads to people wanting to get to know you better. And that's what leads to friendships, that leads to courtship, that leads to engagement, that leads to marriage. And I've just kind of given you a quick rundown of the journey to the marriage bed. You start out as strangers. You become acquaintances. That's what I'm asking you to work on. Work on expanding your acquaintances. Now, an acquaintance is not someone you saw on the street. If you don't have a meaningful interaction with the person, they have not become an acquaintance. But it is people you are acquainted with that will be interested in becoming your friends. And it is your friends that will be interested in courting you. And it is someone who's courted you that will be interested in being engaged to you, and someone who's engaged to you that wants to marry you. But if you are not expanding your acquaintance, and no new acquaintance has come into your life in the last 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, and you're planning and hoping for God to bring a man or a woman to you, you may be on a long thing, or like we say on Lagos streets. You may be on a long thing. And it's not God that is holding you back. It's your lack of understanding of how life works. I don't want to use too much of marketing analogy, but it is very, very, it's very, very the same. But I don't want to use it too much so that you don't think I'm asking you to, you are now a commercial entity. But in marketing, there's something we call the funnel. Your goal is to have people who eventually buy your product. But you don't start with looking for buyers. You're first looking to just have a funnel, a way to have people funnel into your channels who may now experience your products, who may eventually buy. It's the same thing with dating. It's the same thing. You need to be having, you need to have you need to be deliberate about getting a funnel, getting acquaintances into your life. Most of you live, and especially in America, you live very, very closed lives. And these days, when people are working remotely, you on your laptop, morning till night, then you go to church on Sunday, and that's it. I pray for everyone here that God will give you an understanding of what I'm saying. Maybe next time we'll talk about the inner journey that allows you to do that. Because, yeah, I'm not a young person, but there's hardly any environment you put me now that I don't try to engage people in a meaningful way. I have that sense of inner congruence that allows me to quickly, just connect. And I've met people in 2 hours that I've known all the secrets of their life. Questions? Let's start with, I think, who was that? Alpha, you had your hand up pretty quickly. Or have I answered your question already? Because that happens a lot of times.
Yeah, you did answer my question, because my question was going to be what was a meaningful conversation, because I feel like a lot of young Christians specifically, we speak Christianese. So like it's hard for you to really gauge people's personality when all they do is, oh, I'm blessed and highly favored. I know I wasn't always saved. And so when I finally became saved, I feel like I already had a personality. But a lot of people in the church, I feel like they don't have a personality. So it's so hard to really gauge what a meaningful conversation is. But you answered that question. And then my second thing is more like a comment, not a question. I feel like it's not a lack of having option. I think some people, they have too much option nowadays between Instagram and everything else. Like, I know I can speak for men. A lot of dudes have way too much option. That's why it's so hard for them to really take the step of figuring out if that person is the right one, because there's always another girl who he feels is a little better.
Good comment. And the problem, the solution to that is that inner journey everybody needs to take. Was Halle Berry ever an option for me? Except I was a stupid person. She was never an option. So you see people on Instagram, you see all that, and that distracts you, and you think that you need to do the inner work. You're correct, but the problem with that is not having too many options. The problem with that is having an inner life that is not congruent. Maybe let me just 2 minutes touch on what I mean by an inner life that is congruent. When you understand what your purpose is in life, when you understand what your life is supposed to mean, and I don't mean that you understand it in detail, when you have a clear anchor in terms of values, you don't have to spend more than 1 or 2 minutes with someone before you know that there's no way me and this person can be together. that alone, those two things, a clear value system, a clear sense of purpose, when it comes to finding someone to be married to, can help you sift through so much clutter and have clarity, about a lot of things. If I was single today, God forbid, if something happens to my wife and I come back into the market, just looking at a woman and how she's dressed, I know if me and her can ever have anything. Because there are things I value in how a woman presents herself that tells me if me and this person can have a more than superficial relationship. So that problem is not solved by closing yourself up. That problem is solved by growing on the inside. That so many women, and because today, maybe you see one that has, I hate to say this, but okay, let me use something that is a little benign. Let's use 1 to 9 to describe complexion, just to make it this pretty unoffensive to anyone. So you meet someone that has complexion level 3, and I like this one. Then you meet one that has 4 tomorrow. I like this one, and that's your problem. The problem is not options. Problem is like you are a confused man who does not understand what makes a good person or a good man or a good woman. I'm sure you guys understand what I'm saying. So that's the problem. A lot of shallow human beings are out there, and that can be a problem for them. And even though this is not very the same thing with shopping. When you go into a store with clarity about what you're going there to buy, I know it's a little bit different for women. I also understand sometimes you just go window shopping. But for the sake of this argument, when you go into a store with a list of things to buy, and you know what you're looking for, you don't spend too much time there. There might be a million items there. You don't go checking out every single one and get confused, because you know why you came there. You know what you're looking for. So when a man or a woman knows what he is looking for, at least he has certain clarity about who he or she is. And if a woman, for example, is not a child of God, doesn't have a relationship with God, what are we talking about? There's no conversation when it comes to spending lives together. That's not going to happen. So yeah, that's a good observation, but the solution is not to limit your options, so to speak. It is to become more congruent on the inside. And that, like I said, that and what I'm talking about, just learning to have meaningful interactions with human beings are the 2 reasons a lot of singles are not making progress when it comes to relationship. Of course, there is also the issue of the sovereignty of God and other things, but these 2 are the biggest issue. These 2 are the biggest problem. Too many Christian singles are living closed lives, and they are not developing a funnel of acquaintances. They're not building in a deliberate, intentional, meaningful interactions with other human beings. Any other question or comments? Been able to distract this boy for over 30 minutes. That's something. Any other comments? I want you guys to react to this. Or was this too hard?
No, we need, well, no.
I needed this. I ain't gonna lie,
taking
man.
it in. No, it's true. It's true. It's true. Yeah.
It is true.
I think that, I guess I have like a comment just in response to what you shared. Yeah. I know that there's I've noticed a difference, right? When kind of like earlier in my walk with the Lord and attending church and events and things like that, I noticed a difference where, like, literally, like you were saying, as soon as it's over, if I'm not talking to the people I know, I'm shooting straight home. Like, I'm in my car going straight home versus, just lingering a little bit. Just linger a little bit, kind of work the room, say hi to people you know, maybe introduce yourself to people you don't know. Like, it is a major, just practically, even outside of just, relationships, practically, you see a difference of, like, you're able to make connections, you're able to meet new people and network. So it's real. I think that um there's a difference between having, like, yes, have your standards, but don't be so rigid, is what I'm also learning. Like, and don't make the things, there are things that are non-negotiable, right, that they must have, of course, but then there are also things that are like, am I being too rigid? Am I sticking too closely to my preferences? Am I leaving room for the Lord to work and for the Lord to, like, just have me loosen up a little bit? You know what I mean? Because there are things that can be worked on. And so I think for me, it's like, yeah, just um be putting myself out, just continuing to put myself out there, honestly. Of course, using wisdom doesn't mean, like you said, just be all over the place, but at least start from the very least, put yourself out there in the first place, like you said. So um it's what we don't want to hear, and it can sound like, well, dang, like, I thought it
Yeah.
was, you're expecting some spiritual answer, some highly spiritual, and oftentimes that's the case, right? Is some highly spiritual, you'll hear a voice from heaven saying that's the one, and it's like, no, like, you they're human beings, just like how we meet our friends, or how we, like you said, the job example, when you gave that example, that was perfect. Like, how we look for a job, it's the same thing, and then, of course, God still cares about the spiritual aspect. Of course, still pray. Like, don't do it blindly. But no, I think that this is definitely great to just hear it and hear it over and over again and just apply it, and you'll never know. But I can attest to that too, because I've I've had, like, interactions these past 2 months, and I've seen that it was as a result of just sticking around, or just, when someone does introduce themselves to me and they tell me their name, like, sharing more, like, not just stopping at a name basis, but taking the conversation deeper. So yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, no problem.
So go out there, guys, and have meaningful interactions. I like something Anna said. You have your standard and all that. For this, you don't even need to have standards, because I'm not asking you to go have meaningful interactions only with people that you can get married to. Remember what I said. It might even be a couple, a man and a woman, who are together. You stop with them and have meaningful interactions with both of them. It might be the woman that's talking to her brother, friend's brother. It could be the guy that is talking to, and I've seen God work like that, even when it comes to business. I'm talking to this person and we're just having a meaningful interaction, and we're just sharing, and I'm putting myself out there. I like that, that phrase. And this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm, this is, and this person doesn't know anything about what I'm saying, or is not interested in patronizing me. Oh, just hears it. And then 2 days later, 1 week later, I get a call. Are you so and so? I was having a talk. Oh, I was in so and so office, and one of them was talking about meeting you, and said you do this. Boom. Business has happened. Now, if when I saw that person, let's assume I knew they were not interested in my business and they didn't meet my standard, so I didn't have a meaningful interaction. That's not going to happen. Having meaningful interactions is seeing other people for the value of who they are as human beings and being open to have life exchange with them. That's what I'm saying. This is even more primal and more basic than what Anna is talking about. It is at the level where you have that initial interactions, and then you maybe have a couple of conversation on the phone, and then maybe they want more. They want to ask you to hang out, or to then maybe there you might now begin to, well, this do I want more of this man or this woman? Do I want to take this further? I'm not even talking about that level yet. I'm talking about something that should be as basic to a human being as breathing, if we were all well formed. That you meet other human beings, that you go to somewhere and there are other human beings and you take interest in them. You take interest in them and having meaningful exchanges with other human beings. And you're not just walled up into a world of yourself that isolates you from life, which is how a lot of people live. So what I'm saying, it's not just going to help you with dating. It's going to help you in life. And if you're also someone who wants to make a difference in your world, which every Christian is supposed to be, and you want to be a conduit of the life of God to others, what I'm saying is basic 101 of how to function as an influencer in this world. I had conversations with people on lines to board planes that led to ministry and a significant deposit of the life of God in those persons, in that person's life. When you're in anywhere where other human beings are, be outward looking. Be out. You can't live like the way I'm saying and be single for more than 1 year. Believe what I'm saying. If other things are okay. Become a, how do I say this? Become someone who, when you're with other people, when you're in a place where other human beings are, turn your antenna out. Hello. Notice you start a conversation. I've not seen you in this church before. It's your first. Have you been coming before? Oh, do you live in the area? Be interested in people. And in fact, I think that is a basic requirement for being successful in marriage. Because if all you are looking for, you're interested in yourself, who will marry me, who will marry me, who will marry, that's your antenna. Who will marry me, who will marry me. You make a good spouse, self. You won't make a good spouse. If you're just anywhere you are with people, you're just looking at I marry this person, is up to my standard? And that's how you live your life. You're not going to be a good spouse because that's self-centered. Become a people I don't like other-centered because you have to be centered on something that is not external, but become someone who takes interest in people. You can't be single for too long. All right, that's our meeting for today. And I have enjoyed my time with you guys. We do have an event coming up too. Esther, do you want to talk about that?
Yes, so next weekend we have Friendsgiving. So it's where we're all gonna come together. It's actually gonna take place in my house. And you have your hand raised
I'm
up,
coming to that one.
Yay, awesome. So it's gonna be in my house. It's Friendsgiving, it's a potluck. So we're going to eat, fellowship, have fun, play some games. Right now, actually asking whoever is going to be on coming. If you have some games that you really like, you can bring those and we'll see which ones we want to play. Yeah, so let's come and enjoy some food and fun conversations, fun, meaningful conversations. All right, that's it.
What time?
It's 5 p.m. on Saturday.
Are you going to share the flyer?
Yes, the flyer is in the WhatsApp group, but for those, okay, two things. Those who are not in the WhatsApp group, please leave your number in the chat and I will put the flyer in the chat right now as well.
Please make sure you come. Invite someone or two. It's an hangout. It's not a party, so there's no need to be elaborate about dressing or anything. It's not church. It's just human beings hanging out and trying to have meaningful interactions.
Mhm.
That's all. All right. Human beings hanging out, trying to build acquaintances and have meaningful interactions. Alex.
Concerning the stuff that's on the list, the to bring list, I see like there's only like 3 things. Would it be like fine if I bring something outside of those things?
Yeah, that should be fine.
Okay,
Thank you.
that was my only question.
Bring your sister, bring your brother. If they are single, you're not going to marry them anyway. So they might find someone. And no pressure. Nobody is coming there to hunt or to catch something. We're just coming to have meaningful interactions. And as we become acquainted with each other, values begin to connect, personalities begin to connect, life begin to connect, which is what we are, life connect. We want to connect to the life of God, we want to connect to life with each other. That's what this fellowship is about. All right, we're at time. Thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed the today's meeting. On the 9th, I'm gonna start a teaching series on trust. Trust is one of the most important, if not the most important, commodity in human relationships of any type. How do you build it? How do you identify a trustworthy person? What do you do when trust is broken? How do you restore trust? How do you become a trustworthy person? It's going to be a 3-week series, and I'm really trusting God for it. So you can look forward to that, and we'll see you next Saturday at Sister Tulu's house. Do have a great week. Go out and kick ass, succeed like no man's business, make money, do some cool stuff. And then we'll see you next week.
Thank you. Have a
Thank
good week,
you.
everyone.
Thank you all.
Good night, everyone.
See you.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.